Thank you, Shelley Harrison and Luminary Leaders. That was rocking into that. My name is Lindon Crow. I am the president of Productive Learning. We do workshops and coaching on the development of emotional intelligence and cultures within organizations. I'd been thinking about doing this presentation for Shelley. She invited me a handful of weeks back. And then last week, I thought, I'm going to Montana. We're leading our men's retreat. So there's going to be 20 guys there. I'm sure I'm going to have some off hours to be thinking about what I want to say about being a dad. And then between hiking and mountain biking and kayaking and rafting and obviously workshop time too, this Father's Day presentation was not on my mind. We just had such a kick-ass time in Montana. And so I started talking to my wife about this presentation last night and realized that the thing that I wanted to talk about in regards to being a father is that, as some of you know, I have a daughter named Grace, and she was born December 3rd, 2020. And that was obviously during COVID. And it was actually very easy at that point to stay at home because everybody was asked to stay at home. And her name, Grace, she takes after her namesake. She is the unmerited favor of God. She's 3.5. She's learning to swim. She's figuring out that she can direct our 5-year-old dog to do what she wants him to. And then she also lives across the street from her cousins. And so she grows up trying to keep up with all of those older cousins. But Grace came after a lot of struggle and a lot of heartache. In 2017, my wife, Cassie, and I were pregnant for the first time. We decided to keep the gender hidden to us and to the world. And we fortunately had a very textbook and straightforward pregnancy. Now, the day before our son was due, my wife went into the midwifery and said that she hadn't been feeling any movement for some time, and she wanted to ease her mind. And they had assured her over and over again that towards the end of pregnancy, there isn't a lot of room for those little kiddos to be moving around. And so they stop moving a lot less, or they start moving a lot less. And so she went in and she started going from one machine to the next, testing to see if they could detect the baby inside. Now, at the time, I was at work in a meeting with my staff. We were working on scheduling workshops in the coming year. And I actually saw my wife's call, but I didn't answer. But then she called immediately again. And I picked up knowing that we were close. Obviously, we're within a day of the due date, which, as everyone knows, it's not a due date. It's a due date window. So I knew that if there was a second call that came in, if not a third call immediately, that something was going on. So maybe this could be it, right? So I answer the phone, and with a very measured statement, Cassie says, "They can't find a heartbeat. Please come now." Ooh, the memory keeps bringing stuff up, even when I was thinking about this and now saying it to you all. So at that moment, what I saw in my mind's eye was Cassie in agony and alone. And I am not sure if I took a breath for the next 10 minutes, but I jumped out of my chair. I ran out the door. From that point, things were very fuzzy. I remember my staffs saying something because I literally ran out of a meeting that I was holding. But what I heard from their mouths sounded like the Peanuts teacher. It was a lot of wah, 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 wah. But what I think I made out was more of their emotions, which I think they were happy and they were excited because they, like I assumed when I opened the phone call, was that the baby's coming, right? From that point, I vaguely remember seeing the speedometer hitting about 85, maybe even 90 going in the carpool lane. And I was doing heavy dry sobs. At one point in the car, I yelled with the hope that my voice would break something break the world apart. I wasn't sure what was going on. But I realized that I was the one breaking inside. I called my dad driving up, and between the gasps of air, I told him that we were rushing to Kaiser because there's no heartbeat, and that's all I knew. I eventually made it to the midwifery and came in to see Cassie, and our midwife, God bless her, said calmly and compassionately, "I have tested to see if there's a heartbeat, and there isn't. These monitors are not always correct, so let's go to the hospital and double check." Suffice to say, my son's heart did stop, and he lay asleep still inside my wife's belly, as he had always been, never needing or never seeing any other place. My wife, as amazing as she is, continued to amaze me. It was her birth plan to not have a cesarean, as I think everybody's birth plan is, and to do it all natural, as I think everybody's birth plan is. And then when this came in, I thought, well, let's get this thing out as fast as possible. And she said no. She said, with the doctor's permission, because the doctors had said she was in no risk of infection, that my wife was allowed to have a natural birth. And it just needed to happen within the next 3 or so days. And so my wife delivered a 7-pound, 11-ounce baby boy on June 3rd with no anesthesia, no epidural. She decided to do that because she knew that she wouldn't get to feel this baby in the physical world for much longer. And so she chose to feel everything, all of the pain, all of the agony, all of the love that she could in the couple hours that her labor was. Cassie, my wife, is a true warrior and wields incredible courage. Now, we had picked a few names for both boys and a girl, but since we didn't know the gender and we wanted to meet them first to see what fit, he was still unnamed. Now, when my wife was delivering, there was a flood of help surrounding us. My mom was there, nurses, doctors, midwives, and other support staff. I don't actually know if it was normal. It seemed unnormal, the amount that there was, especially when they kept telling us that this was still a low risk birth, even though the child had passed already. So I don't know why everyone was there. I don't know why there was so much. I still don't know to the day. But I can say that we delivered Bodhi around 11 p.m. And a little after midnight, getting closer to 1 a.m., my mom came in and asked if we were okay with seeing the people that had shown up. Little did we know that we had 20 or more families and friends come to be with us and to hold us and to meet our blanketed, eternally sleeping baby in the middle of the night. So the amount of love that we felt, the amount of heartache that people held for us was extraordinary. One of the names that we had chosen was Bodhi. Bodhi is Sanskrit for awakening or enlightenment. It was also the name of the tree that Siddhartha Gautama, or the Buddha, became enlightened under. And Bodhi was an incredible awakening for myself and for my wife. I feel safe to say that my son Bodhi and my first experience of being father has taught me that I am capable of walking through the gates of hell, getting knocked around, and eventually I will have enough inside me to stand back up and to walk out. I may be bruised, I may be beaten, but I still have determination to live and feel fulfilled. Now, after that, subsequently, my wife and I had 3 other miscarriages over the next 3 years. Were they heart-wrenching? Yes. Did I lose hope at times? Yes. But I had support. I had many, many people supporting me and my wife. I also am thankful that my wife and I do the work that we at Productive Learning do, which we are practiced in having very challenging conversations, especially when our emotions are high and at their worst. We are both coaches on emotional intelligence and cultural development and communication. And with all of the expertise that we still have challenging times. Challenging times about, do we want to have another kid? Do we want to try again? Do we think that we should be together if this is what it may mean? We challenged and questioned everything. And what I'm very happy to say is that because of the work that her and I do, we continually found ourselves coming back to one another. We came back, we kept pushing, we kept trying, we kept accepting each other for who we were, all of the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of my wife. I'm proud of for us to in fostering the kind of community and love and support that was around us, and in the fact that we are continually looking at ourselves in order to learn and grow as individuals, as a business owner, as a husband and wife, as friends. We're examples of the work we do, and from it, I'm a proud dad of two. One is Grace, who's 3.5, loves her dog, and the other is Bodhi, who reminds me regularly that there is much more to life than what meets the eye and what the hands can touch. Um, so, to all the dads out there uh, that are going to be dads, to all the seasoned veteran dads, I want to say that I respect you and the game and the field that you've walked onto. I personally know the wide range of emotions and experiences I've gone through and the toll it's taken on me. And I feel safe to assume that you feel your version of those tolls too. That's not to mention the wonderful side, the heartful side experiences that we had. I just don't think that there's fair acknowledgement for the quiet suffering that some of us endure in our families, for how much we care, and how much we love. And that love can be challenging, and it can be painful, and yet it is the most fulfilling. So here's to you. Here's to quieting the suffering and allowing a little more love and peace in the world through fatherhood. So thank you.